The following is a program of the Santa Barbara County Education Office. To learn more, visit sbceo.org.
I'm Susan Salcido, Santa Barbara County Superintendent of Schools, and I'm so delighted today to introduce Laura Branch, science teacher at Righetti High School. Laura, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I can't wait to dig into Tell Your Story, part of which includes being awarded the 2019 American Association of Petroleum Geologists Foundation's 2019 Teacher of the Year. Congratulations.
It's been a big year this year. It's like a huge award.
Well, congratulations, and we will definitely talk about that award. But let's start with your childhood. Let's go to the beginning. Where were you born, raised? Where did you grow up?
Okay, so I was born in Chula Vista, but then at 3 months, I actually moved to Santa Barbara. So I kind of see myself as a Santa Barbara native, and just grew up and went to like Mountain View Elementary School, went over to La Colina, you know, all the local areas, San Marcos High School, Santa Barbara City College, and just my parents just are still in the same house. We actually got burned out in the Painted Cave fire, but we just rebuilt and all is good.
And siblings?
Yes, I have, all of my siblings went to all the same schools, and most of them still live in town. I got an older brother and then 3 younger sisters.
So big family.
A big family.
Yeah. And where did you go to college, and what was your major?
I started out at Santa Barbara City College, and I started taking, out of a whim, just a physical geology class, and I really got into it. And so I spent a good 3.5 years there, and then transferred down to San Diego State University, spent 3 years there, and then got my bachelor's in geology, and then decided I wanted to become a teacher, thought that I would be really good at it, and then transferred over to UC Santa Barbara for the teacher education program.
Ah, so did I hear correctly that you fell into science or fell into geology? So were you interested in the sciences as a child, junior high, high school, or really was it more a science passion after high school?
I always liked science, but just kind of on my own. So, you know, if we got a little pig that we had to go and raise and stuff like that, then I was always out in the backyard looking at things, trying out different little experiments, not on the pig, but, you know, just trying out different experiences and stuff. And then in high school, really liked it. I think it was Mr. Oleander or something like that, Oleoff or something. And he did a non-college prep anatomy physiology class, and he brought like an entire digestive system in a bucket. And I was like, whoa, this is it. This is totally cool. And then even though, you know, it was biology, and I've been quoted in my science department to not do biology, it's grown on me. But then I went over to Santa Barbara City College and went on one of the field trips, and that was it. And I've always kind of traveled with my parents across the United States on trips, but it was really Santa Barbara City College that I got that big giant bug of geology.
Wow. What was that field trip that really sparked you at City College?
Well, first was the Death Valley field trip. It was hot, obviously. And so that was pretty cool to sit there on the San Andreas Fault. But really what took it home was going up to Mammoth, which is my favorite area ever, and it was looking up volcanics and glaciers up in the Mammoth area. And it's called the Eastern Sierra Nevada field trip that they take in the fall, and that is just so awesome, even though it snows sometimes.
Right, so lots of weather.
Lots of weather. You're still going to be out there doing a bunch of geology stuff, but it's really cool.
How did you make a connection between that love of geology with really the love of teaching? Because you've been teaching for 20 years and you love it, and it shows. So how did you select those two and put them together?
So I thought that I was going to go into petroleum geology once I got to San Diego State, and then my very senior year, Then there was a teacher strike in San Diego, and it was all over the news. And then Dr. Wallamander was my petrology teacher at the time. And he said, you know what? Teaching is a great career. It is a great thing to go into. We need more geology teachers. Don't think it's a step down. Just go for it. And that was kind of the light bulb that went off. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'd be a great teacher. And so that's what started me looking into the UCSB Teacher Education Program, which is awesome.
Which is awesome.
It is
I
awesome.
agree. And how did you find yourself at Rigetti where you are today? Was it straight from UCSB's teaching program to Rigetti, or was there a different path?
It was straight because Santa Barbara didn't want me. they didn't have any opens at the time for science
Sure.
teachers. And so I went and I interviewed with Santa Maria Joint Union, and I always wondered, like, what is this the right thing to do? I don't know. I really want to go back to San Marcos. And once I got into the science department there, it is just this fun knit, real new family. Our department is a family. We all get along well, and I haven't looked back. It was like the best decision that I've ever made, is
that's
to go
wonderful.
there. And they actually hired me on to start up the geology program there.
Is that
so that's
right?
just a dream job, dream come true.
What is your dream come true job today? So what is your class schedule today? And then I'd love to hear if you've taught different classes as well.
So right now I teach 3 college, almost college level. I haven't gotten concurrent. I'm trying to do concurrent enrollment with Ellen Hancock. But I have 3 sections of lab science geology that I've worked really hard to get to be a UC approved lab science. It took 20 years. And then I have 2 sections of AP environmental science. In addition, I did student teaching in physics, and that was kind of crazy. But I did it. And then I've done some student teaching just at Santa Barbara Junior High, but really I spent 19 years doing general science for 9th graders. And it is just really a fun class to teach. I mean, the kids are great. 9th graders, awesome, a little quirky, a little squirrely, but they still laugh at jokes and everything, and they do really well, and you get them turned on to science,
Yes.
which is what it's all about.
Turning students on to science is what it's
Yes.
all about. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so that is your class schedule today, what you've taught before. And you just said something about an A through G approved course. Can you say that one more time? Because you said it took 20 years.
It took.
So it just happened.
Well, it took 19 years.
Okay.
So, so the UC system did not want geosciences as a physical lab science, and so I've been working just behind the scenes with a lot of other geology teachers, high school teachers, and also just professors from around California to try to get it so that it was mainstream and it counted kind of like a D physical science as weighted as chemistry or a physics class would
And
be.
why is that so important for students to have a course that they're taking be A to G approved? For those who are watching and don't
Yeah.
have that part of their everyday vocabulary.
Yeah. So for a student to get into a university or even a state school, they want to have as many A through G requirements. That's just the bottom line. So to get into a 4-year university, they are going to have to take certain amounts of classes that are these requirements. And so for me, students wouldn't really want to ever take geology because it wasn't an A through G required class. I mean, it just didn't count for anything. And so for it to be counted as a D lab science, it means that it just opens up kind of the whole doorway for students that maybe not want to go into the sciences. So maybe there's an English, a person wants to major in English or history or something that's not going to be that great at chemistry. They could do great in a class like geology that's going to teach them enough to go and be successful at a 4-year university right out.
Yeah, thank you for working so hard for it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and advocating for it on behalf of your students, and it sounds exciting for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So earlier in the interview today, we were talking about the American Association of Petroleum Geologists Society or Foundation that named you the 2019 Teacher of the Year. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And tell us how did that come about, and how did you learn that you were named their Teacher of the Year?
Yeah. So I always try to better myself in the classroom because you can always be better. You could be at the top of your game, but you can always do something else. And so I found that writing grants and is kind of just a little pat on the back that, okay, you're doing really well. And so I found out about this actually like 2 or 3 years ago, and I had applied, but I didn't get it. So this year I was like, you know what? I'm going to put everything that I have into applying for this job that's a national teaching job or a national teaching award. And one of my big just kind of goals in life was to be some sort of a teacher of the year. And I thought maybe I could be like the school teacher of the year or something. But instead I applied. I wrote some great curriculum for actually everybody. I'm a big sharer of my curriculum. And I put together this great application about natural resources in California. And I won the whole thing. And it was amazing.
How did you learn that you won?
They personally called me, like the president of the whole foundation personally called me.
At home?
On my cell phone and said, if you need anything, let us know because you are the AAPG 2019 Teacher of the Year. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't even believe it.
Yes.
Like it was just amazing because, stuff like that doesn't usually happen to a teacher.
Right.
And so
it wasn't
really,
luck,
really
it was
cool.
earned.
It was earned.
Yes.
I worked really hard, but there was a lot of other competition out there.
Sure,
So it was really cool. And I got to go to San Antonio, Texas, and I had to do a big giant speech in front of 400 people. And they just took care of me the entire weekend that I was there. And I got a really cool plaque. I should have brought the plaque.
Oh, well, we'll have to.
But that's okay.
Yes, we'll make sure to come visit it.
There you go.
And what did your family department think and say, or school think and say?
Well, they were pretty shocked, but they were just very, they know that I work really hard at things. And so they're like, you totally deserve this. They were kind of in shock, though, that it was the national one. But they were really, really proud. And so, but we worked really well together, too. So, now they got some really good curriculum.
Right. It sounds like this was really meaningful for you.
It was very meaningful.
Yeah, really excited for you. And, kudos to all of us to have the National Teacher of the Year in our county.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, very exciting. And I understand that you were also, not only did you get the notoriety with this big presentation award and plaque, but you're also in Forbes magazine, quoted around science. What was that article about and what did you say?
Well, first of all, I'm part of a group called 100K in 10. It's 100kin10.org. It's for STEM teachers around the world. And what they're trying to do is get 100,000 qualified STEM teachers in the next 10 years so that students all across everywhere have the opportunity to do STEM and STEAM in the classroom. And so that's really important, especially for the industry and whatnot.
And let's define STEM and STEAM really quickly.
STEM is science, technology, engineering, math, and then STEAM, you put in the A in there, and so it's arts.
Okay.
And so, so I suddenly, somehow, these just always magically appear in my inbox that I got invited to apply. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do this. And so I'm part of this group where I really like reaching out to the industry and seeing what kind of skills they want for kids to have once they graduate, because it's called college and career readiness. And so I thought, well, that's a really cool thing to go and do. And so, so I did this, and they suddenly said, hey, you're in environmental sciences. We need a quote about climate change. How is climate change being taught in the classroom? What do you kind of foresee, in the future for the students? And can you give us a quote for the Forbes.com? And so I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty impressive. And so, of course, I sat there for about an hour scratching my head because I don't want just one specific little thing, but it was about how students can really be the global stewards and the global citizen so that they can go and make change.
Really about responsibility, advocacy.
Responsibility.
Yep,
Whether you go into the sciences or not, it's important.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you for that, and congratulations too.
Thanks.
As you said, it's a big year.
It's been a big year.
And I understand that travel opportunities have come also with all of the sciences, the work you've done, the collaborations, some different teams that you're on. Can you share with us some of those travel opportunities you've had?
So, so obviously I started with Santa Barbara City College, and they kind of got, me totally into that kind of stuff, so I can go out and, lead my own field trips if I wanted to. But, and I can always go back to them because, there's an open door, but I've gone to Project Lava in Hawaii to learn all about Hawaiian volcanoes, which was really cool. That was at the beginning of my career. And then on a whim, I just kind of thought to myself, I know a lot about geology, but I don't know very much about the environment. And here I am being an environmental science teacher. And so I applied and went to the Amazon rainforest in Peru with the Educator Academy in the Amazon rainforest. And it was an awesome, like life-altering type of a trip. And then I started working with them about how do you bring this information back into the classroom, and how do you get climate change, sustainability, environmental sciences type of concepts into the classroom for the students. And so I've been back 3 times. I was supposed to go last year, but I had a foot injury. So I'm supposed to go next year, and we're already writing curriculum. We kind of have our students look at the amount of carbon in trees on our campus, and then we compare it to carbon in the trees that we measure down in the Amazon rainforest. And then there's a little blueberry farm in Buellton. And so they're going to start setting up some, camera traps and a pollution monitor and stuff like that. So we're going to start working with them as a partnership. And then I just got approached to do some work over in Iceland. And so I don't think you knew about that one.
I don't know about that one. That's a great surprise.
Some geologists are like, hey, we have this earth science thing going on, and come on over. We need some earth science teachers.
And you said yes.
I said yes, and now my doctors are like, oh, we got to heal that foot because, I'm going to be on, again, volcanoes and glaciers.
Wow.
And so,
Sounds
that was
exciting.
a big thing too.
Sounds really exciting. So I have not been to Peru. I'm going to guess that many of the viewers may not yet have gone to the Amazon or Peru, and you said it was life-changing, life-altering.
Life-altering.
And you will have gone 3 times by the time, at this point. Can you say about the trip? I know it had to do with the environment and geology and all of this, but what about being there was so life-altering, truly?
Well, this is how I started an environmental pathway at my school. And the reason why we chose 2015, we put in a native garden in our classroom, is because in 2015, the Mahuna tribe that we work with down in Peru, they got their lands back in 2015. So it was deforested, and now it's coming back. And so we're kind of monitoring that compared to our native garden in our classroom to see the differences. And so just being with the people down there, we're not talking about the people that live in the city. We're talking about actual people that might be making $250 per year, and they are the happiest people that play soccer every day. Mm-hmm. But just they are into sustainable agriculture and trying to just live off the land. Mm-hmm. And learning about that and bringing it back into the classroom is really big. Mm-hmm.
So it was a big juxtaposition.
Yes.
Wow, this is a whole nother world, but yet it's on our planet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that comparison. Thank you for sharing what I'm
and
sure
it rains a lot.
And it rains a lot. Yeah. Thank you for that. I'm going to switch gears for just a moment, talk about your family, and would love to hear about your children, your husband. Let's explore a little bit. Tell us about your children.
So, my children. I have a 16-year-old, and he goes to Santa Ynez High School. His name's Oscar, and he wants to actually go into the trades. So he's doing the automotive program over there, which is really, really cool. You guys should totally check it out, and the viewers should too. But and then I have these 2 10-and-a-half-year-old twins that go to Oak Valley Elementary School, and one is a very avid reader, and she's probably going to be doing a lot of science fair projects. I'll help her. And then the other one is a total soccer person, and that student that is a great student but doesn't like reading. And so very, very different type of, child to kind of push along and whatnot. And I don't know, they're just great. It's totally fun.
And twins are girls?
The twins are both girls. They're fraternal. Mm-hmm. And they run everywhere. Just kidding.
And one plays soccer, and earlier you said that the people in Peru were so happy, and they play soccer every day, so there could be something there. Yes,
totally.
There could be something there.
Yes.
Yes.
They actually, one of them is on club soccer, and the other one does play soccer, but for AYSO. Uh-huh. But when I went to Peru, Madeline, the soccer player girl, she's like, I don't want anything. Don't bring me home anything but a video of them playing soccer.
And did you?
I did, and they
Good.
play barefoot
Ah,
because
very
they don't
good.
have cleats.
Ah.
So I take down all their cleats.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Yes.
All right. And talk about your wonderful husband.
My wonderful husband gets to stay home during the Peru trip. No, so I've been with Brian for like almost 30 years. He's my best friend. We met actually at Santa Barbara City College in a math class, and he makes me laugh all the time, and he is an accountant, and he's just the greatest partner to have.
That's
And
wonderful.
so he's in charge of getting them ready to go to school in the morning, and we just laugh all day, and I have them in the afternoon, so.
That's wonderful. And how does science permeate through your family?
That's funny. So we have a bunch of tickets to go on the tarantula hunting hike at the Blueberry thing this weekend. So yeah, we're always doing sciencey things. We always either go off-roading and go look out in the backcountry. We go camping to Yellowstone. We go out to Mammoth all the time. Not so much into fishing, but yeah, we're just always outside,
Outdoors.
looking
Yes.
at things, observing things.
I'm sure.
trying
Lots
to
of
catch
questions
bugs.
and curiosity.
Oh, very much so.
Yes, very good.
And they, well, I brought you a state rock of California, and they all had to
Thank
go
you.
out and help me pick them up. So,
Thank you.
yes.
And as a mother, as a teacher, I know that you're thinking about the next generation, our future generation, and I'm curious to know what you think is really important that our youth today leave high school or leave college knowing what to do and how to do. What are some of those skills that you would say are really important?
Yeah. So I really work on that a lot with my students, because not only do you want to be college ready, you want to be career ready. And some of them aren't going to go off to a four-year university, and that should be okay. So I look at soft skills. And so I want my students to be able to go up to either an elder or some individual and not be on their phone. I want them to be able to make eye contact. I want them to be able to have a good handshake. I want them to have a good resume. And in my geology class, it's a CTE class. So for everybody, it's career technology, technical education. And so we all get OSHA approved for general industry, because then they can put that on their resume and they have that little step up against all the other people that they're kind of competing against for the same job. And so it just communication skills, problem solving. It's not all about science all the time, even though I love science, but some of them aren't going to become scientists, and that should be okay.
Right. And let's talk about Leadership Santa Maria Valley. That's something that you've participated in. Can you share about, first, what is the program?
The program is just about getting business leaders in the valley so that they know where everything is. So I know where to go in the court system. I know where the agriculture is. I know where the police department is. And one day per month, usually the first Friday of the month, you go and you have one topic day. So like education day. And because I know education, I wasn't allowed to plan that day. So you just immersed yourself in everything that the community has as far as education. Everything that it has to do with agriculture, everything that it has to do with business and whatnot. And so I didn't really think of myself as a teacher, as a leader at first, at the very beginning. And then by the end, they're like, you are so a leader. And so now I can say I'm a leader. And we did a community project, and yeah, we just had to learn how to work together.
And how many people are participating in that, or your cohort?
Yeah, usually it was about 20 people, and you just learned how to get along. And I mean, it was a lot of work, but it was so worth it because I know where to go and who to call for certain things around Santa Maria.
Do you know which agency organized this leadership program?
I think it was through the
Chamber of Commerce?
Chambers, yeah.
Okay.
And so
And what was your project?
my project, you had to do two. So one of them was health and human resources or services. And so we went to the growing fields. For the mentally ill people, they have this growing fields. That was kind of my part. And then the second one that I did was on agriculture. And so that was really awesome.
Yeah, it sounds
So
like
we were
it.
out looking at the celery fields.
And you said that something transformed for you, transpired with you, which was that you thought of yourself as a teacher, but then you really thought of yourself as a leader. People looked to you that way, and also you thought of yourself that way. What does being a leader mean?
For me,
Yeah.
I think that it is empowering the people around you so that they can work to their full potential. I'm not micromanaging people. I'm empowering them so that they can make their decisions. I'm kind of overseeing them and guiding them when they need it, but really they are the responsible people. You're only as strong as the weakest person in your team, you know. And so even in the classroom, you know, I try to be kind of hands off and let them ask those questions, because that's what science is all about. That's what education should be all about. That, you know, they are asking the questions they want to learn, and in the process, it's going to get more into their long-term memory and they're going to remember things.
It seems a commonality with leaders, or those who really have thought of themselves as leaders, have always had someone or many people inspire them or be a mentor for them. And I'm sure you have many, but could you select a few and share with us who they are and what they taught you?
Yes. First off is from Santa Barbara City College. He now teaches astronomy, but it is Aaron O'Connor. And he's a leader. He doesn't realize he's a leader, but he started out just teaching astronomy, and I met him, and he was the one that was like, I know that you're a girl, and you are going to go and do all of these great things. And I'm like, okay, I don't really think so, but okay. And to this day, I just emailed him actually yesterday about something, and he just gets right back to me. And, you know, we are now professional back and forth, and he really has been a guiding force. The other one is Dr. Lynette Cavazos from UC Santa Barbara. She's now retired, but she
Brilliant
always guiding.
smile.
Always a smile.
Yeah.
And so she taught us that, you know what, that you just go in there, you do your job, you're a good leader, just go and do. And without her, I don't think that I would be where I am.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And Laura, with all that you do, and this is a tough question for anyone, myself included, but
Okay.
I'm just going to ask you, with all that you do, how do you find an opportunity for balance in either a day or week or a month?
Balance.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I don't take home any grading. So there's that.
Okay.
Because I just, no.
You leave it
So
at the
I
office.
leave it at the office, but I also work during lunch. And so I make sure that, you know, kids come in, they ask for help, whatever it is that they need to do, but I'm always working when I'm at school. And then when I go home, it's all kid time. And right now I look at my kids as kind of the hobby, because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be the parent that's guiding them, you know.
Right.
And so, you know, we take the kids out and go hiking or whatever. Well, right now I can't because of my foot, but, you know, we'll go out hiking or camping or whatever, and that's kind of the hobby, but it's also, you know, just the balance also.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
That's good. I hear you say there's some boundaries there, but also you really are compartmentalizing your focus, and that
Yes.
helps you.
Exactly.
As we wind down here, I just have a quick question, which is, do you have a message for viewers who are watching today around being a teacher in the Science 2019 Teacher of the Year?
That's a rough one.
It is.
I would say that kids are our future, and they are the global citizens that are going to have to change whatever it is in the future. And so we need to teach them how to, you know, just go out and create change, be college and career ready, and change the world.
Yeah, believe in our students. They're
Exactly.
our futures, right?
It
Yeah.
is.
Laura, thank you so much for spending time with us today and sharing your spark of joy around teaching, but also of science and geology and all that you do. And you really are inspired and inspiring, and really appreciate your message today. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I'm Susan Salcido, Santa Barbara County Superintendent of Schools. Thank you so much for joining us today for this edition of Schools of Thought.